If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. In what's quickly becoming an annual NFL tradition, the Cleveland Browns have once again become the butt of quarterback-related jokes. And this time, it's Pittsburgh Steelers star Cam Hayward delivering the punchline, with the Browns throwing darts at the wall in the 2025 NFL Draft by selecting not one, but two quarterbacks, Dylan. Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, the football world didn't have to wait long for the mockery to begin. And when you consider that Cleveland already had Deshaun Watson, recently traded for Kenny Pickett, and even brought Joe Flacco back into the mix, well, let's just say the quarterback room is starting to feel more like a traffic jam than a roster. Speaking on the situation, Hayward couldn't help but twist the knife. How many different quarterbacks we got over there? He laughed, sounding more like a confused commentator than a rival lineman. For fans of AFC North drama, this is gold. Hayward's comments weren't just playful trash talk. They hit a nerve that Browns fans know all too well. For decades, Cleveland has struggled to find stability under center, and this year looks so, like more of the same. No one knows who will start week one, and even the front office seems unsure, choosing quantity over certainty. Deshaun Watson, once expected to be the long-term answer, has been plagued by injuries and inconsistency. Kenny Pickett arrives after flaming out in Pittsburgh, making his presence all the more ironic. And Joe Flacco, though a veteran with poise, is clearly a short-term band-aid. When you add two rookie quarterbacks into the mix, it starts to feel like a sitcom. Except the laugh track is coming from division rivals. Hayward's sarcastic question wasn't just trolling. It was observational comedy rooted in harsh truth. The Browns' decision to draft both Gabriel and Sanders raised eyebrows even before Hayward's comments. In most drafts, selecting two quarterbacks might signal desperation. In Cleveland's case, it's practically tradition. From Brady Quinn to Johnny Manziel, from Brandon Weeden to Baker Mayfield, the Browns have cycled through quarterbacks at a dizzying pace, often pinning franchise hopes on young arms, only to hit reset 2 seasons later. Now they've added 2 more names to the ever-growing list. Gabriel brings mobility and moxie, while Sanders, the son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, brings charisma and upside. But the key word here is potential, not proven. And that's what makes Cleveland such an easy target for criticism. The quarterbacks are promising, sure, but will they pan out? History says probably not. Meanwhile, in Pittsburgh, the quarterback picture isn't exactly rosy either, but the contrast is still stark. The Steelers are reportedly waiting to see if Aaron Rodgers signs, and if not, Mason Rudolph is likely to take the reins. That's hardly a dream scenario, but at least it's a focused one. The Steelers don't have 5 quarterbacks vying for attention, splitting first-team reps, and clouding the offensive identity. That clarity, even in uncertainty, gives them a leg up over Cleveland, at least in the mind of Cam Hayward. And really, that's the heart of his dig. The Browns, for all their roster improvements in recent years, still haven't figured out the position that matters most. Quarterback chaos might be entertaining for fans and commentators, but it's a recipe for disaster on Sundays. What makes Hayward's shade sting even more is that it rings true. When you look at successful NFL franchises, they all have one thing in common: stability under center. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, the Bengals have Joe Burrow, the Ravens have Lamar Jackson, the Bills have Josh Allen, and the Browns, well, they have options, too many options. It's one thing to have a quarterback competition. It's another thing entirely when that competition involves 5 players, ranging from washed-up veterans to unproven rookies. It creates confusion in the locker room, hampers offensive cohesion, and makes it nearly impossible to build around a single leader. That's why the Browns, despite a talented roster on paper, continue to be viewed as pretenders instead of contenders. To be fair, there's still hope that one of these new additions could break the cycle. Gabriel, with his accurate arm and quick release, might surprise doubters. Sanders has the swagger and confidence that teams often crave. And who knows, maybe the competition will bring out the best in all of them. But at some point, Cleveland has to stop rolling the dice and commit to a direction. Until then, they'll continue to be the punchline in AFC North banter, a team rich in quarterbacks and poor in quarterbacking. And the Steelers, who have long relished their role as Cleveland's big brother, will continue to seize every opportunity to mark the revolving door under center. Hayward's jab was just the latest in a long line of playful jabs, but it also carried the weight of painful truth. Beyond the laughs and the social media soundbites, there's a real football issue at hand. The Browns need to identify who their guy is, not in December, not in week 10, but as soon as possible. Whether that's Gabriel Sanders or even a resurgence from Deshaun Watson, the clock is ticking. Having 2 first-round picks in 2026 gives them flexibility, sure, but that also implies they're already hedging their bets, and that lack of confidence trickles down. How can a young quarterback lead when he knows the front office might be eyeing his replacement a year later? It's hard to build chemistry or trust in that environment. And that's what makes Cam Hayward's shade so poignant. It's not just about numbers. It's about the deeper dysfunction they represent. Of course, Browns fans will argue that this season is different. That with the right coaching, one of these young quarterbacks will emerge as the next franchise cornerstone. And maybe that's true, but the margin for error is razor thin in a division where every team has playoff aspirations. Cleveland can't afford another season of indecision. They need leadership. They need consistency. And most of all, they need a quarterback they can believe in, not 5 they can hope for. Until that happens, critics will keep circling and the jokes will keep writing themselves. For the Browns, this isn't just about proving rivals like Hayward wrong. It's about proving to themselves that they can finally escape the quarterback carousel. In the end, Cam Hayward's comments are more than just rivalry banter. They're a reflection of the perception that continues to dog the Browns. And in the NFL, perception often becomes reality. When a team is seen as unstable, that aura affects everything from locker room morale to national media narratives. If Cleveland wants to be taken seriously, they need to do more than stack quarterbacks. Like trading cards, they need to find the one. And while Hayward's shot might have made headlines this week, the real response has to come on the field. Because that's where the Browns can finally change the story. Not with another press conference, not with another draft pick, but with results. So here we are, another NFL offseason, another Browns quarterback controversy, and another rival turning it into comedy. But maybe, just maybe, this year is the turning point. Maybe one of these quarterbacks grabs the job by the throat and never lets go. Maybe the Browns finally break the cycle. Or maybe, by this time next year, we'll be watching another draft, analyzing another set of rookie quarterbacks heading to Cleveland, and listening to Cam Hayward or another AFC North star cracking wise about the latest chapter in a never-ending saga. Either way, the spotlight is firmly on the Browns. It's time to turn the punchlines into progress, or brace for another long season of being everyone's favorite NFL meme. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Today we have a bombshell coming straight out of Cleveland, and it's the kind of story that could change the entire direction of the Browns franchise. Rumors are swirling around the league that several key players inside the Cleveland Browns locker room have quietly united with one mission. They want quarterback Deshaun Watson out of the team. Yes, you heard that right. The very same Deshaun Watson that the franchise paid a historic $230 million guaranteed contract for now finds himself at the center of a reported player-led revolt. Sources close to the organization have hinted that frustration has reached a boiling point. Players are allegedly losing faith in Watson's leadership, his commitment, and more importantly, his ability to deliver on the field. This is more than just typical locker room grumbling. This could be the spark that sets off a full-scale mutiny within the Browns. Now, let's take a step back and understand how we got here. Deshaun Watson was supposed to be the savior of the Browns, the superstar quarterback to finally lift the franchise from decades of mediocrity. After a controversial trade from the Houston Texans and an unprecedented fully guaranteed contract, Cleveland put all their chips on Watson. But since his arrival, things haven't gone according to plan. On the field, his performances have been inconsistent at best, riddled with rust, miscommunication with receivers, and questionable decision-making. Off the field, the shadow of his legal troubles continues to loom large, making it difficult for some teammates and fans to fully embrace him And now it seems that frustration within the locker room has reached its breaking point, with players reportedly taking matters into their own hands to push for his exit. From what we're hearing, this isn't just one or two disgruntled players venting after a tough loss. The rumor suggests that this is a coordinated effort among multiple key veterans in the locker room. These are leaders, guys who hold weight and influence over the direction of the team. They believe that as long as Watson remains at quarterback, the Browns will not be able to reach their full potential. One source even described the mood in the locker room as toxic, with trust between Watson and several teammates essentially shattered. Some players reportedly feel that the front office made a catastrophic error in bringing him to Cleveland, and they are now pushing ownership and management to cut their losses before the situation spirals further out of control. It's worth noting that Deshaun Watson has always been known as a competitor and a player who prides himself on being a leader. But leadership in the NFL is earned, not given. And right now it seems like Watson's grip on the locker room is slipping away. The Browns have always been a team that prided itself on chemistry, grit, and resilience, but this rumored internal conflict could fracture that foundation. There are whispers that some players no longer believe Watson is putting in the work necessary to get back to his Pro Bowl form. Others feel that his focus remains divided due to the lingering off-field distractions. Regardless of the specifics, one thing is becoming clear. The unity that is essential for any team's success is now in jeopardy. Of course, from an organizational standpoint, this is an absolute nightmare. The Browns invested everything in Deshaun Watson. Multiple first-round picks, a record-breaking contract, and their entire future. To even consider moving on from him now would be a massive admission of failure by the front office. But when the players themselves start banding together and pushing for such a drastic move, management may have no choice but to listen. After all, in the NFL, locker room cohesion is everything. No amount of talent can overcome a fractured team dynamic. And the Browns are teetering dangerously close to that point. If these rumors are true, Cleveland is facing one of the most critical decisions in franchise history. Another important aspect to consider here is how this situation could impact head coach Kevin Stefanski. Coaches are often judged by their ability to manage not just the X's and O's, but also the personalities and egos within the locker room. If Stefanski is unable to navigate this situation and restore order, his job could very well be on the line too. There have already been murmurs about friction between Stefanski and Watson regarding offensive play calling and game management. If players are indeed rallying against Watson, Stefanski finds himself in the unenviable position of either siding with his locker room leaders or standing by his embattled quarterback. Either choice could have massive repercussions for both the coach and the franchise as a whole. Looking at the broader NFL landscape, a player-led movement to oust a franchise quarterback is almost unprecedented. Sure, we've seen situations where quarterbacks have fallen out of favor with coaching staffs or front offices. But to have multiple players reportedly unite against their own quarterback is something else entirely. This speaks volumes about just how fractured the situation in Cleveland has allegedly become. It also raises questions about where Watson could realistically go if the Browns do decide to move on. His contract is massive and fully guaranteed, making it difficult for any team to absorb that kind of financial burden. Plus, the off-field baggage makes the market even more complicated. So even if the players get their wish, the path forward for both Watson and the Browns is murky at best. For Browns fans, this has to be an emotional roller coaster. The excitement and hope that came with acquiring Deshaun Watson have now seemingly given way to despair and frustration. After years of quarterback instability, it looked like Cleveland had finally landed their guy. But now, less than 2 full seasons into this new era, the team is reportedly at war with itself over that very decision. Fans are left to wonder, was this all a massive mistake? And more importantly, what happens next? Do the Browns double down on Watson and hope the locker room eventually comes around? Or do they cut bait, eat the massive financial loss, and try to salvage what's left of their team culture before it's too late? As always, it's important to remember that these are still rumors at this point. No players have gone on record, and the Browns organization has yet to issue any official statement addressing the situation. But where there's smoke, there's usually fire. The NFL is a tight-knit community, and stories like this don't just emerge out of nowhere. We'll be watching closely to see how this develops, whether the Browns come out to publicly support Watson, whether more players anonymously confirm these reports, or whether the team makes a shocking move in the coming weeks. One thing's for sure, this story isn't going away anytime soon. So there you have it, folks. An absolutely seismic rumor that could reshape the Cleveland Browns and possibly even the entire AFC landscape. If the players are truly uniting to oust Deshaun Watson, we're about to witness one of the most dramatic player versus franchise battles the NFL has seen in years. Let us know in the comments what you think about this situation. Should the Browns stick with Watson or listen to their locker room leaders and move on? Smash that like button. Subscribe for the latest NFL drama and stay tuned. Because as always, we'll be here breaking it all down for you as the story continues to unfold. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you like the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!